Alrighty, so these are the supplies you're going to need. You're going to need a stretchy cap, some scissors, needles, tweezers, clips, T-pins, and your thread. So the hair I'm using today is from Vanity Box Hair, and I'm using their Malaysian Curly texture. It's a 14-inch frontal, 16, 18, 20, and 22 inches. So what I did is put the cap on my head and pinched it so it was a little tight, and I used all my T-pins to pin it onto my mannequin head. So starting off, you want to start off with your frontal. So when placing your frontal down, you want to make sure you stretch it side to side, and that is a little bit over the cap, just like this. So once you got that placed down, you make sure you stretch it to each side and put down your T-pins. And as you can see, I'm stretching it, making sure that it's tight so it stays into place. And you just want to secure it down with your T-pins. This is going to allow you to keep everything firm. So then you want to clip the hair in 2 pieces, and then you want to stretch the cap back a little bit and add your T-pins in. This is going to ensure that you keep your frontal in place and that you're not shifting it while you're threading. So it's going to keep everything lined up perfectly for you. So when threading, I like to pull my needle through, and when I thread, I like to pull my needle through the lace and in through the cap, but I go in between my 2 threads. As you can see right here, what that does is it creates an interlocked thread, so that way you're really securing it and you don't get any knots and tangles. So you just want to go through the lace, go through the cap, and make sure you're going in between, so you're basically making a tiny knot. Some people go around the needle and make a knot, but I don't like to do that. This just ensures that everything lays flat when you go through the middle of the lace. So what you want to do is just go on the line of that frontal, and as you're going, you can take your T-pins out. The T-pins is just going to make sure that everything stays lined up, because you want to make sure that that frontal is sitting right. And as you can see, I keep going back to check in the front just to make sure you're not pulling it too far back, because you want it to be a little bit over the front of the cap. That way when you add your wig on, it is not sitting too far behind. So with adding our first bundle, I like to go through the net and the cap first, and then I place my needle through the wefts. So I go through both of the wefts. This is just going to ensure that the start of your wefts lay super flat to your cap. And then I just go and thread it and go through. So thread and go through and tighten. You want to do this step every time you're threading something. And when I'm doing my wigs, the first track that I lay down, I like to put it as close to the edge as possible, just so if I want to lift my hair up, it doesn't show anything. So you just want to keep going all the way across. So when you get to the point you want to overlap your wefts, I like to go through the cap first. So as you can see, I'm just going up a little bit, going through the cap and then underneath the wefts. When I'm doing this step, when it's time for me to overlap it, I do not go in between the thread. I'm just doing this to place down the track where I want it. Then I go back through twice, and that's when I start back going through the thread. So this is just gonna ensure that every time you flip that lace, every time you flip the wefts over, that it lays super flat, because I do not like to cut my tracks, because when you cut your tracks, that is going to cause shedding. So I like to double my wefts and really get them flat and just flip them over as I go. So you want to do this same step with all of your tracks. And to knot it, I do the same thing. I go through and I make a knot, and as you can see, I just hold it there and I pull it. I do that 3 times. So at this point, we're on the 3rd bundle. When you get on the 3rd bundle and you're like halfway through that bundle or at the end, you want to start curving off that weft. So as you can see now, if I keep going, it's going to line up with the frontal. So you want to start curving off your wefts, not going straight across. Make sure they're curved, so that when you get to your last bundle and you're done, it's going to line up perfectly so you can sew it directly on the edge of your frontal. So now I'm going in and doing the same thing when I'm starting a new bundle. It's going through the cap, and then through the wefts, and then I'm going to secure it down. And as you can see, it just makes sure that that lays flat and you don't have those little bitty humps of where each track starts. So you want to go through the hoop and tighten. And then you can place your T-pins as you're going, just to make sure you're keeping it lined up with that frontal. That way you get the perfect alignment. So as you can see, I was on the last piece, and since everything lined up so perfectly, I was able to sew it directly on the edge of the frontal. You want to do this step because it's going to ensure that when you move your hair, you're not seeing that big gap from your wefts in your frontal. Everything is very, very close together, and just make sure you're going through the edge of the frontal under your weft and tightening it that way. And make sure you secure all your ends when you're done with your thread. So this is how it should look. Then you want to cut the excess cap from under your lace, so your lace is directly on your forehead or your edges, and this is how it should look once you're done cutting off that cap. So now you want to bleach your knots. So to bleach the knots, I like to go in with a 40 developer, the L'Oreal Quick Blue Lightening Powder, and just a brush and a container. So what I like to do is take like a half of cup of the powder and the developer, and make sure that your mixture is not watery, that is very thick, almost like cottage cheese, because you don't want it to seep into the lace. So as you can see, I'm literally like dabbing it, like tapping it on the lace, and make sure you focus really, really good on the edges, because that's what's going to show the most. It really doesn't matter if you go all the way down, because your part is not going to go all the way down. So yeah, you want to just rinse that off, and this should be your finished look. So as you can see, I kind of pulled out some hairs. These are the hairs we're going to use to make our baby hair. So just get a thin amount of hairs. So what I like to do is pull it tight, and then take a razor comb and just razor it to the desired length that I want my baby edges. This is the easiest way to get pretty baby edges without using a sharp blunt cut, by using scissors. This is so easy. So as you can see, they're like choppy, they're short, they look like real edges. So now you just want to take your tweezers and pluck all along the hairline. You want to just pluck until you can't pluck no more, honey. So I like to pluck all along the hairline, and then I go back through and I section off a little bit of hair, and then I pluck again, and I do that all around the hair. So I do it one on the sides, then I go in the middle and do the same thing, and then I do it again on the other side. This is just going to ensure that you're like kind of thinning out those edges so it's not too bulky on the front of your head. And then I take a large chunk and I lightly go in with my razor comb and just thin out the edges in the frontal that way. That way it's not bulky, and trust me, it's going to look super natural when you do it this way. Then you want to make sure you put it on your head and just see like if you want to pluck anything else. I decided that I wanted to pluck a little bit more in the center of my head, just because I know that's where I wanted my part. So I wanted to thin it out just a little bit. So you just want to ensure that everything is sitting right before you cut your lace off. So now that you're ready, you can just start to cut your lace off, and make sure you're kind of not going in a straight line. You're kind of just moving your scissors kind of side to side, kind of like in a zigzag motion. You don't want it to be straight across. You want it to be a little crooked, just so it looks natural and realistic.
Alrighty, so now we're on to installation. In this part of the video, I'm going to teach you dolls how to basically make your lace frontal look natural, and how to install it and kind of secure it on your head. 9 times out of 10, I'll put a elastic band in it. I haven't put one in here yet because I don't really need one. It fits perfectly on my head. And yeah. So what I like to do, because after you bleach your knots, if you've seen previously in the video, you can get some blonde hairs. So to make the lace your color, I like to take a little bit of my foundation and then some foundation powder. So I'm going to use this like dome dense brush, and I'm going to put like a little bit, like little bitty dots on this brush. You don't want to put a lot because it will get like on your head. So I'm just taking a little bitty dots. So what you're gonna do is flip your lace inside out. And you want to focus your foundation mainly on the edges of the frontal. So I'm just going to start dabbing it on like this. And then once I got it all on, I'm just going to start buffing it out. This way the lace will be the color of your skin and it will look like super natural. And then it'll cover up some of those blonde hairs if it sunk through. You want to make sure that you set this foundation with your face powder. So I'm going in with my MAC Mineralized Skin Finish in dark. So I'm just going to take a little bit on that same brush and we're just going to set that foundation. This way it always stays on the lace and it's not going to fade away. It may fade away a little bit once you wash it, but you can just redo this step. It's not going to ruin the lace. Just make sure you set that foundation in there. Alright, so it should look something like this when you're done. So I'm going to go ahead and put it on. Alright, there, yes, hunty. Alright, so we're going to pull it back to our hairline. Make sure you have the lace. So we're going to pull it back. I'm going to pull it back to my hairline. Make sure it's tight. So my hairline is like right here. You want the lace to be at least like maybe like 2 centimeters before your actual hairline, because when you put adhesive or gel or anything, you don't want to put it on your edges because you want to protect your edges. That is the main thing of having a protective style. So make sure you tuck all your edges back and pull the lace forward. Okay, and kind of just measure it, make sure it fits right on your head. See where my hairline is? We'll pull it back a little bit. Alrighty, so to secure it today, I'm going to use the Got To Be gel. This is my first time using it, but everyone wanted me to try it out to compare it to the Gorilla Snot gel that I used in my previous video. So today we're going to try this, and I'm going to just do it the same way I do with my Gorilla gel. So we're just going to take a little bit of it. First, I'm going to pin my hair back. Pin this part back so I can see what I'm doing. And we're just going to place this before your edges. Do not put this on your edges. Just right before your edges, right where the lace is going to sit. Okay, so I'm going to blow dry it a little bit just to speed up the process. And I'm just going to put this on low. Alright, so right when you feel that it's a little tacky, I like to take a little bit of hairspray and spray it directly onto the gel. It's just going to ensure that you get an extra hold. Then I'm going to blow dry that a little bit more, and then we're going to pull the lace forward. Okay, now I'm going to pull this forward. Take this off. so we are secured, ladies. So I'm going to pin this back, and I'm going to pull out my baby hairs, the baby hairs that I created, and we're just going to brush them down. So I'm going to use my olive oil edge control. This is my favorite edge control. I'm actually in the process of trying some new edge control, so I will let you ladies know what I think about that. So I'm just going to use a toothbrush, and first we're just going to pull out all those baby hairs that we created. Some of them already came out. I'm going to pull these down. Righty, now that we got our baby hairs out, we're going to just pull down the hair. Now you're not going to see all of them. I'm just going to part this with my finger right up in here. I don't want a middle part, I kind of want it off to the side. So here is the finished wig. Gorgeous. See, it's super easy, you dolls. It's not that hard. You will get so accustomed to it once you start like making more and just practicing. It becomes easier and easier and easier. This hair is from the lovely Vanity Box. The Vanity Box. They are super amazing. They did send me this hair to review for you dolls, and I absolutely love them. They are so professional. This hair is bomb. This is actually my first like virgin curly hair. I normally get wavy all the time, but y'all, I'm absolutely in love with this unit. It is a 14-inch closure, a 14-inch frontal, 16, 18, 20, and 22 bundles. It was hard trying to fit 4 bundles on a frontal wig unit, but as you can see in the video, I just sewed everything very close together because I wanted this hair to just be big and like just voluptuous. I love it, you dolls. And when I got it and when I washed, after I washed it, it kind of just loosened up the curls. I let it sit in some conditioner and olive oil, and it just made the hair so soft. The hair was originally super soft, so now it's just like, it is bomb. I got a little bit of tangling, but you get that with curly hair. But normally I've seen some curly hair that like mats up and get tangled. You know, I can run my fingers through this curly wig. Like, this hair is absolutely bomb. I will leave all their information down in the description box, and I will be doing a styling video. I will be doing a styling video on how you can do different styles with this unit here, so I hope you guys are excited for that. And if you have any more questions about how to make a unit or any questions about units, let me know. And if you want me to make a unit for you, if you want a custom wig from me, make sure you email YunnieRoseWigs@gmail.com, and make sure you follow Yunnie Rose Wigs on Instagram, and follow me on all my social media networks. That is at Yunnie Rose. And I love you dolls, and I can't wait to see you in my next video. Love you dolls.